vibrator off. We are going to get started now, so I'd like to call this Hammond Redevelopment Commission meeting to order on this Tuesday, January 7th, 2020. It is now 4:30. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence after? Thank you, Commissioner. Can we get a roll call on tonight's commissioners?
Merrick,
Here.
Soto Presley. Here. Kasperzicki.
Here.
Myrick,
Here.
Huppert.
Here, for the record, all five are present. Number 2 is our organizational meeting. We need to conduct that for 2020 here, so I'm going to turn that over to Attorney Dave Westland.
Excuse me. Members of the commission, you typically elect a president, a vice president, and a secretary. So I guess we'll start with the presidency. At this point, I would open the floor for nominations or a motion to elect a president.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to leave the organizational meeting, the organizational structure as is. Tony Hoppers is president, myself is vice president. Miriam Soto Presley is
I think
treasurer, and Kathy Nevaez is secretary. Merrick. I'm sorry, Merrick is secretary. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is it any discussion on the motion? Anyone want to propose an alternative to vote on? If not, if we can get the roll called on that slate of candidates to fill those positions, and I believe it was Mr. Hoppers as president, Mr. Myrick as vice president,
Kathy Nevaeh, secretary.
Kathy Nevaeh, secretary, and the treasurer, Miriam Soto Presley.
Sorry. She can be second. Okay, I wrote it wrong. Miriam, okay.
So we can call the roll.
Myrick,
Yes.
Soto Presley,
Yes.
Kasperzicki,
Yes.
Merrick,
Yes.
and Huppert.
Yes. Motion passes on the new officers for 2020 for the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, number 4 is a declaration of conflict of interest. Number 5 is our communications.
There are none.
Okay, that brings us to number 6, our homebound conditional forgivable loan approval. Looks like we might have 3 applicants.
Yes, they're all present.
Can they come forward and you can take your time one at a time, just kind of introduce yourselves here to the commissioners.
Hi, my name is Nicole Lean.
Okay, Miss Nicole. Wait a minute, it's 2 Nicoles. I'm sorry, Nicole who?
Aline.
Aline. Number 2. Number 2. How did you hear about our program?
My sister went through the program about a year or 2 ago, and she told me about the program.
Okay.
Good.
Next person.
Hi, my name is Natalie Pearson,
And Ms. Pearson, how did you hear about our program?
through the East Chicago Redevelopment Program.
Okay. And then last but not least, the other Nicole.
Hi, I'm the other Nicole Lara. I heard about the program through my lender,
Do your lender, may we ask who's your lender?
Chris Hendron through Macaulay.
Okay. Anyone, are all you guys first-time home buyers?
Yes.
Anyone else has any questions for these applicants? No. Mr. President, I make a motion for the approval of the homebound conditional forgivable loan program for Nicole Laura Montes, Nicole Eleni,
Aline.
and Natalie Pearson.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for our homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the three applicants that are present tonight. If there's no further questions or discussion for these applicants, roll call, please.
Merrick,
Yes.
Soto Presley,
Yes.
Kasperziki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Pepperidge.
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You may be excused if you like.
Good luck to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, that brings us to number 7, determination of compliance with the Gateways redevelopment area for 7935-7943.
You're welcome.
The other side.
He can stay. Bye.
That was cute. Give him another grand.
Did you want me to do it?
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, one quick packet, thanks.
Ready? Are you ready?
Yes, that's all right.
Good evening.
Taking a peek.
My name is Don Toringa. I'm with Toringa Engineering. I'm the engineer on this property. This is Lot 4 of Gateway Promenade, which is the immediately to the south of the White Castle Hamburger on the other side of the entrance to Gateway Promenade. I have also with me Eric Merton and Stephen Schaefer of Form G Companies. The reason that I am here is because there's a small portion of the property on the southwest corner, which was an easement granted to the Little Calumet River Basin Committee. We received permission from the Little Calumet River Basin Committee through Dan Repay to put a small part of the parking lot, a corner of the parking lot on that. We also have to submit to the Army Corps of Engineers, which we have done, for what is called a Section 408 permit. We are awaiting the Army Corps of Engineers approval on that matter. And with that being said, if there's any questions regarding any of that, I'd be happy to answer it. Otherwise, the presentation will be made by Form G.
Do you expect to obtain that from the Army Corps of Engineers?
Yes, what it amounts to is that, on page 5, he says,
There's an exhibit that shows where it is.
there's a very small colorized portion. I think it's blue. I just saw that.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's the area that we're filling. There's a ditch that runs on the other side, on this side of the Little Calumet River dike, and that ditch is not impacted. The Army Corps of Engineers doesn't seem to have any issue with it. The Little Calumet River Basin Committee doesn't either, but it is ministerial. We have to go through this procedure.
Okay.
Hello again, my name's Eric Merton with Form G Companies. I'll save you all the effort of going through this entire package. You guys know where this is at. The most important slides I want to show you are on page 9 of the elevation. Been working with Mr. Poland and will continue to work with Mr. Poland to address his concerns of the elevation prior to the Planning Commission meeting, if you guys so let us move forward. Do want to reiterate, this entire thing is a $2 million investment on this corner. I'm going to bring about 30 to 40 jobs to this development. On page 10, for reference, if you look at slide number 1, slide number 4, slide number 1, as the building is designed today prior to working with Mr. Poland in the future, that's what you would see as you came off the interstate. That would be the prominent corner of that building. If you guys have any questions, again, working extensively with Brian Poland and his group to ensure compliance with everything as we head down the approval path towards the Planning Commission.
What I was looking for was a statement from Mr. Poland, but I don't see any in here.
He's actually going to do the determination of compliance after their
Yeah,
presentation.
up next. Yeah, it looks like you have two good anchors anyway, Verizon and Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
I'm just, yeah, looking for Mr. Poland's statement, thank you.
All right, thank
And
you.
it looks very nice.
Thank you.
I've never been to future tenant, but I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, welcome, Mr.
Right.
Brian Poland.
Did you guys not get the staff report?
Yeah.
Or you do have it?
Yes.
No, I have it, I just was,
Okay, no, I just want to make sure that,
You're so eloquent.
We always look so forward to your
Need to
comments.
hear from you.
Don't cheat us, Brian.
you kept going 4 pages on this one, it was signed by Taringa, that was my confusion.
okay. All right, so anyway, there is a, in the staff report, just, you know, as was indicated, this is the last outlet that's located at the former Kmart property at Interstate Plaza Drive at Indianapolis Boulevard. It is proposed to be 2 buildings on the property, and that is one of the differences between what was originally approved by the Plan Commission in, I think it was 2008, that there was supposed to be a single multi-tenant building, and this proposal is for 2 buildings. And they're asking to divide this lot into 2 pieces in order to accommodate that. And so that's an important issue in how the Plan Commission will look at this, is that it is different than what was originally approved. The other thing that I kind of addressed in this report, it is the architectural material that is being presented. In the redevelopment plan, there is the term that the architectures or the development is supposed to be harmonious, unified commercial retail development. So the question before the Redevelopment Commission is, what does the term harmonious mean? And the point that I'm bringing out is that the difference of these architectural treatments starts to question whether or not it is a harmonious architectural treatment, because of a drive-it material or an EFIS material with the brick that's on the other part of the building, the fact that it was supposed to have been a single building and it's now 2 buildings, but they're adjoined. If you look at the architectural treatments, there is a physical connection that will help make it read as a single structure, at least from the street, the Indianapolis Boulevard side of the property. And that is something that when that was presented to us at staff level, we were very encouraged by that, because it starts to help make it, unify the structure in a way where it starts to read as a single building. But as it relates to the requirements of the redevelopment plan, I'm not sure if they've achieved the harmonious definition. Mr. Taringa did bring up the 408 permit issue. This is, of course, a significant issue on the Plan Commission side. Our concerns are directly related to make sure that the levee structure is not going to be undermined, that the change of the elevation of this detention ditch, or whatever it's referred to as, will not undermine the calculations that were used to remove all the properties from the floodplain. And we have asked them to look into those questions for us, and it is our understanding that there will be no negative effect on the floodplain determination or the floodplain removal. But the question came out is that Army Corps, it does require a 408 permit. And in essence, that is you're changing something in the design that was previously approved by the Army Corps, and you have to make sure that that design or that change is not going to compromise the integrity of the levee structure. So that is one of the things that we are waiting. I don't know if this microphone keeps on going out.
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay, but yeah, for me, sounds like it's going in and out. But it is one of the things that, our concern is to make sure that we have proper documentation, that Army Corps is going to be okay with this change in this detention easement. Of course, the benefit to them is that they would be able to have their pavement and parking and help the flow of this property. And before I go on to my recommendation, are there any questions on that particular point, or those points?
I don't think it's real important, but if the original intent of the redevelopment plan was for a single building, was that meant to be a single business, where now there's three?
No, clarity. The Plan Commission was a single building, multi-tenant. The Redevelopment Commission does not address, or the redevelopment plan does not address that. It talks, the only thing that can refer to as an architectural evaluation is this harmonious commercial development, and that's the measurement that I'm asking you to address. So Plan Commission still has steps to go through to make sure they're okay with dividing the property and having the two adjoining structures with this common connection, and that's something that, has some merits to it. It does potentially trigger a whole bunch of different sets of variances, but that's something that, once we get into the meat of that, we'll deal with that. So on the surface of what they're presenting, I don't really see an issue with the Plan Commission when it comes to changing it from one building to two buildings, other than the technical parts of it. The question, again, for redevelopment on the determination of compliance is, I'm bringing up the issue of the architectural materials and the harmoniousness of it.
So it seems that there's 3 or 4 issues on this development right now. And we're here for peace and harmony and architectural structure. Harmonious, so I get it, I'm just saying. Those are the 2 issues before us, or are we to be concerned with or should we be waiting for floodplain data and the other variances?
No, the floodplain data and the other variances are really not an issue for you. Your question is, does the overall development of this property comply with the plan? Therefore, when you talk about the investment that they've presented, the number of jobs, the fact that the plan talks about commercial development in this area, and it does make reference to protection of the floodplain and protection of the levee structure. So there is a little bit that gets related to the 408 permit, but primarily that's the first question, and then the second part of the redevelopment plan is this development not only compliant for all the normal things we always talk about, it does have this language of harmony, architectural harmony, with the entire development or that portion of the Gateway redevelopment area.
So is it harmonious in your opinion?
I am expressing concerns that the primary of the one building of it primarily being used, or the primary exterior material of being EFS, I am expressing concerns that that does not have adequate enough harmony.
Okay.
I do believe the details of that are more in the hands of the Plan Commission to work that out.
So just to make it clear for me, again, just reiterate, what is it that you're looking for from us?
Well, okay, so that it goes back to now, if you look at my recommendations. So I do recommend that the staff determines that the staff does recommend that the Redevelopment Commission determine that the proposed multi-tenant retail building at 7935 to 7943 Indianapolis Boulevard is in compliance with the Gateway's redevelopment area plan, subject to, 1, the use of a common architectural treatment between the two buildings, 2, the receipt of the Army Corps 408 permit, 3, subdivision approval and development plan approval from the Plan Commission, 4, conditional use and developmental variances, because there will be a series of those, and 5, final technical approval from the various departments. Most of that is my standard subject tos, but the first 2 are unique to this particular project.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the determination of compliance with the Gateways redevelopment area for 7935, 7943 Indianapolis Boulevard.
And just for purposes of clarity in the minutes, it's a motion for a determination of compliance subject to the 5 conditions that Brian listed, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I can read them for the record. Subject to the 5, number 1, the use of common architectural treatment between the 2 buildings. Number 2, the receipt of Army Corps 408 permit. Number 3, subdivision approval and development plan for approval from the Plan Commission. Number 4, conditional use and development variances approval from the BZA. Number 5, final technical approval from various departments. If there's no further questions or discussion, for the gentleman that brought out the presentation to us, we thank you for Mr. Poland. Let's have a roll call, please.
Myrick,
Yes.
Soto Presley,
Yes.
Casper Zicki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, motion passes 5 yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. It's always exciting to start off the new year with development.
Sure is. More donuts. Okay, number 8's
That's true.
update. Thank you. Building stabilization, patching of the LaSalle Hotel, which is 5266 Holman Avenue.
A warm New Year's welcome to the commission and staff.
Hello.
And
Happy New
venerable
Year.
attorney, thank you. Here to give you an update on the LaSalle Hotel. So the honest answer is we haven't gotten very far yet. You may or may not have noticed, but we did have a meeting on site today. So we've been working on preparatory work to work on the building. We've dealt with a number of complications. It has been determined that the fire escape is in very poor condition and will have to be removed. The fire escape on the west elevation of the building, which would be the parking lot side, not the street side, is in very poor condition, is becoming detached from the side of the building and is not, cannot be used to access the side of the building. It's been recommended by the engineer to have that removed. I asked the contractor for a budget estimate. We're still going to work on hourly time and materials basis. But the budgeted estimate simply for the removal of the fire escape is $35,000. So that eats significantly into the $50,000 that was approved by this commission at the last meeting. We are going to monitor the work and take daily tickets and count employees and make sure that the contractor is billing us for the work that they are doing. That work should start in about a week or so. The other issue...
Excuse me, that's just removal, that's not replace?
That is just removal, that is not replace. Removal of the fire escape will render the 2nd through 5th floors uninhabitable. The building's basically uninhabitable now. The water's been turned off, the gas has been turned off, the power's all been turned off. So you can't live in the building now, but before anyone could inhabit the building, the fire escape would need to be replaced. Unfortunately, I don't have a price for that at this time. We're trying to do an evaluation of the outside of the building. The other issue that we had come across, we've averted, and that was how we were going to access the sides of the building. We had originally contemplated using staging. It's called staging, or platforms that are suspended from the roof or the parapet that hang along the outside of the building, like you'd see a window washer on the outside of the wall, and they would just lower the staging down. That can't be done. It's a wooden roof. It won't support the weight of the staging itself. So we're looking at alternatives. We think that alternative was going to be very costly anyway. So we're looking at a crane and man basket to do that work. And so we're going to have to work with the Board of Public Works and Safety to isolate a couple of the lanes on Holman Avenue to make that access happen. Again, you're probably looking at about activity in about a week, but we do look like we're going to consume the bulk of the budget that's been set aside. I'll be happy to take any questions, and I'll keep you informed in the future of how we're progressing through the budget.
I'm thankful for the update. Curious, but sounds like we have gonna juggle a little bit on this one.
Very much so. I was very concerned about the engineer was concerned about the condition of the roof, and we accessed the roof today and realized that there's no way that the equipment would bear on the existing roofing materials. So we have to do another plan of attack, which is probably better, simpler, and honestly cheaper to do it that way. It's going to cause a little bit of sway. Adverse weather conditions are going to be much more affected. So if it's a little bit windy out, they won't be able to work at all, where they might have been able to work on the staging. So
I know this is more than cosmetics, but the building's still a good building, right?
yeah, it seems sound, right? We'll know more when we get into the actual evaluation. Many of the structural members have surficial cracking, and it looks like water could have gotten behind a few areas and could have eaten away some rebar, but we won't know that until we start kind of chipping away at any of the loose material. Really what we want to try to do is get all that loose material off so it doesn't fall unexpectedly, and then we're simply just going to patch those areas with a surface cement or paint just to keep the water from getting in there any further. And at some point, we'll have to do an architectural fix to it so it'll look proper in the long run. But to get in and out of it and make it basically waterproof, we're going to do what we need to do to get that done.
But to me, it kind of sounds like at some point, even after all this work is done, there's still going to have to be a reevaluation of the whole situation to, again, figure out if we're going to keep the structure or not. Am I correct?
I believe it's the intent of the city to keep the structure. It's through the downtown evaluation that was recently done by Jeff Speck. That building is important to the look of downtown. Mm-hmm. And so there will be a lot of work, and I would suspect that at some point the city would look to a developer to redevelop that building, right? And so we perhaps make an incentive for a developer to come in, but it's not in really great condition inside because the paint's peeling off the walls. This commission has done an asbestos abatement, so there's no flooring. It's all just rough concrete floors now. There's no carpeting, there's no tile.
So how much redevelopment or repair needs to be done before we decide whether it's going to stay or not? How much money is it going to cost before we decide that we can't spend any more and it has to either come down or it's okay, we'll go ahead and spend more?
Well, Commissioner, what we're doing now is we're meeting with a developer, I believe next week, that's interested in that property. We wanted to do the overall evaluation. The plans have always been basically to have a developer come in and redevelop that building because we did not want for it to stay in the ownership of the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. So we are meeting with someone. We are being very frugal about the cost of repairs. That's why Dean is bringing you ongoing updates. But our overall plan is to be able to sell that property to a developer. And upon selling it, or upon listing it, then what we will say, we'll state this is the condition of the building.
So then the developer that comes in after we decide to do that, then we'll have some sort of inspection and the building will stay or not, right? Or
The plan is for the building to stay.
to stay?
That is what the plan is for the building to stay. And that's why we're going through the structural analysis at this point in time.
Okay. Structural analysis, okay.
And, well, it's a surface. So the complaint was filed by a nearby business owner, and so we had to take action to inspect the outside of the building to make sure that it's structurally sound. It looks, as I said, it looks to be superficial cracking, but we don't know that for sure until they can get in and look at it. We're trying to keep costs in control. It is a 5-story building, so there's a lot to that. And to give you a number on what it's going to take to rehab that building, I haven't put any time into looking at that. My role is to help facilitate this inspection and really support the building department in that effort.
Ultimately make it saleable.
Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you, I have no questions.
Thanks.
Thank you, City Engineer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate it.
Dean.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Okay, number 9's our reports. Ms. Saffron Carver, would you like to share anything?
Yes, first I'd like to say Happy New Year to the Commission. And I also wanted to remind the Commission of our annual event, which is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Annual Candlelight March. As many of you know, this is an event that celebrates the life and the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This year the theme is Keep Moving Forward. The event will take place on Monday, January 20th, 2020. This year's march begins at 6:30 a.m. with a ribbon cutting to dedicate Hammond's new Freedom Plaza, which is located at Tapper Avenue and Highland Street, and the lighting of the plaza's eternal flame. So actually, that'll probably take place at around 6:15, with the march beginning at 6:30. It will go to the march after the dedication, then we'll march to the Hammond Civic Center where there's a ceremony after that. So please feel free to come out. Yes, it's Monday, January 20th at 6:30 a.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, that brings us to number 10, our bills, register of claims.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pay the register of claims. Wait a minute. I'm trying to figure out which is,
Drop the new one off.
thank you. I have two of them, okay. Thank you, Karen. To pay register of claims for December 21st, 2019 through January 2nd, 2020. And register of claims R58206 through R58320.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the register of claims. That's dating December 21st, 2019 through January 2nd, 2020. That's claims R58206 through claim R58320. Is there any questions or discussion on these claims for staff? Okay, then roll call on the claims.
Merrick,
Yes.
Soto Presley,
Yes.
Kasperzicki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Helpridge.
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes. Brings us to number 11, new and unfinished business. I think there's an item that was passed out tonight.
Yes, members of the commission, you have there are two items tonight for new and unfinished business. The first item would be a proposal for engineering services for UST closure for the former Carson's building located at 6600 Indianapolis Boulevard. In the audience, we have Stephen Travis from Americo Engineering to describe this proposal or to explain the proposal, as well as to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you. Good evening, Stephen Travis, Americo Engineering. As Africa was saying, we provided a proposal during closure of the UST at Carson's. There was a release identified. The release appears minimal in nature. It was one vent line sample that came back with elevated contaminant levels. So the proposal before you is for the additional sampling and reporting to the state associated with over-excavation of the contaminated soils.
So this is our 2020 new and improved change order, I see. Would you be so kind as to explain to me 7,000 whatever per total? I don't think I understand that.
The rate, or what the rate includes?
What, is that 75, 72?
$7,572 is the rate for the service.
The total cost?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, there's a slash mark.
The slash means, to me, meant per the total.
Oh, okay, gotcha, sorry.
So that
Sorry. Sorry about that. Yes.
Anybody else?
No, I was thinking the same thing. Good thing you said.
So, yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, Matt.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposal for engineering services, UST closure, former Carson, 6600 Indianapolis Boulevard, Hammond, Indiana.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a roll call then, please.
Merrick,
Yes.
Soto Presley,
Yes,
Kasperziki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Helprich,
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Is that it?
No, I have one more item for your review tonight. In your package, you'll also find an estimate for HVAC maintenance agreements on 2 units. One is located in the building located at 5233 Holman Avenue, which is considered the hub of innovation, and the hub. And another one is for 5209 Holman Avenue, which is the Hammond Innovation Center. Both of these buildings, as you are aware, are owned by the Hammond Redevelopment Commission. You also are aware that earlier in 2019, this commission approved replacement of the HVAC systems. So these maintenance agreements are just for the maintenance of those units that have been recently installed. So basically, they outline necessary repairs so that it will extend the life of the units that you just paid for.
I'm sure we have to maintain them. So.
There's, I think you all seen it, it's, copy's a little hard to read, but.
Oh, so that's $998.75 per?
Quarter.
No, but I mean, per address?
yes.
Correct, because they're for 2 separate units.
So it's like $1,900 per quarter, right? Every quarter?
There'll be 4 quarters, so.
But I mean,
Well, one's 960.
8,000 a year.
Right.
okay, okay.
Somebody go ahead, I can't.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval for the HVAC maintenance for 5209 Holman, the Hammond Innovation, as well as 5233 Holman, the Hammond Hub.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a roll call on that then, please.
Merrick,
Yes.
Soto Presley,
Yes,
Kasperziki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Helprich.
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes.
Thank you.
Okay, number 12's our public comment. If anybody would like to come forward, you may do so now. You have 3 minutes.
There's been a staffing change, so you'll see Jerry Franciski around at our late meetings. He's expanding our security role at City Hall, so I just wanted the council to be familiar, and please meet Jerry if you don't know him already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Okay. Well, before that, no one else wants to speak, then public comment is closed. Brings us to number 13.
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Can you all signify by aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned.